guys, and welcome to what's going to be a three-part series. I'm going to call it the Paleo Kitchen Essentials, and this is going to be part one, and it's basically just about the appliances, you know, what's in my kitchen. So without further ado, let's get started. Now I'm also going to film part two, which is going to be what's in my pantry, which is behind me, and then a part three, what's going to be in my fridge, which is over there. So this is just part one of the three-part Paleo Essentials kit for you guys. So let's get started. The most essential thing I think that you will need, and I'm casting my eyes around to see what I'm going to pick up first here, is probably the pots and pans. You need them in order to cook conventional foods, and you need them in order to cook paleo foods. I mean, if you don't have pots and pans, you're on a raw food diet, I'm afraid. So I have two fry pans that are like this. This is my little one, and then I also have a really big one as well. And they're great heavy based ones for sauteing, frying, making omelettes, that sort of thing. Now my pots and pans, I just get the stainless steel ones. I do not like buying Teflon pots and pans because when the Teflon comes off and starts going into your system, it's a carcinogenic. Similarly, with aluminium pots and pans, aluminium has been shown to cause Alzheimer's. So cooking with aluminium will give you Alzheimer's, and cooking with Teflon will give you cancer. Not necessarily, but your risk is increased. Whereas cooking just with stainless steel like this, obviously you have to scrub it more and you don't get that amazing non-stick freaky kind of cheating the laws of man and earth effect. But I just feel like a good honest stainless steel pot or pan is essential for your kitchen. Also, I will add to that and say that cast iron or this kind of thing, I don't know what it's called, where it's kind of got a shiny over the top of the iron, that's cool too. So this is my oven dish, and I use that to make roasts. I'll chuck a chicken in here. I've got a bigger one as well. I'll chuck a chicken in there and some chopped up veggies, olive oil, maybe coconut oil, whatever, herbs and spices, bay leaves, and pop that in the oven, and it's amazing for really quick paleo dinners. This is my pot. I have a larger one as well. This is the smaller one of the two, and it comes with a steamer that's got holes in the bottom. And so you can steam your vegetables just by filling this with boiling water, putting veggies in here. And obviously it's really great to get pots and pans that are the same size, because then you can use the pot lid for the pan as well, and they'll fit perfectly. So when you're buying a pot and a pan, make sure they have the same millimeter, and then you can reuse the lid twice, which is really awesome. I also have a lot of big bowls like this for salads. Even if it's just for me, I find having a really big salad sometimes hits the spot. And obviously a mixing bowl or two won't go astray either. I should do it over here, you can't see it. I have a lot of containers. These are my favourites at the moment with the little wing clips. I keep chicken stock and different kinds of stock in these, and then I only fill them about that far, and then I can freeze them and then use them basically like you would use an ice pack, where you just kind of do this and it'll pop out, or just sit it in a dish of boiling water and it'll melt enough that you can just pour it out, and that's like one use kind of thing. So that's really, really cool. So you don't have to defrost this massive amount of stock and then try and use it all within a week. You can just go by usage, and I have so many of these now. Good chopping board is really awesome as well. I always go the wooden ones. I don't like using plastic chopping boards because I worry about when I'm chopping up those little bits of plastic, like where are they going to end up in my food or what? So I generally use a wooden one like this. In order to keep it nice and stop it from drying out and kind of getting a bit chippy and damaged, I generally just get a cloth and put some olive oil onto it and just rub the olive oil over it, and that kind of moisturizes the surface here. Also, don't put boiling hot pots and pans on your wooden fixtures because you will end up with burns all over them. The next thing I have here is a little bit more obscure. It is this, which is a vegetable spiralizer. There are other similar products like spirulis and mandolines, but this is the one that I use. And essentially what happens is, in this section in here, I don't know if you can see, there's a spike in the middle there. So you put a piece of zucchini or a carrot, and then there are some spikes up the top as well. So your piece of zucchini gets trapped in there, and then you just wind this handle around. And at the bottom, there is a blade here, and then, sorry, it's still wet, it's just come out of the dishwasher. And then I don't know if you can see that, little teeth. And so basically what you get in this bottom container is spaghetti shape. Yeah, angel hair pasta style shape. So this is a really cool tool for making pasta replacement, and I will film a video on how to make zucchini pasta because it's one of my favorites. Zucchini spaghetti bolognese is really, really nice, and it's a great paleo recipe and everyone should know how to do it. Also, one of these, if you don't have a fancy thing like this, one of these is really good because you can just slice up the zucchini like this, and it's kind of like really thick carbonara style pasta pieces. So don't throw out your potato peeler even though you're not having potatoes anymore. Another thing that I find really, really useful is this, and it was originally given to me as a gift, and it's for doing onions. So you put the onion in the chamber underneath here and then just with this kind of 5-bladed knife thing. But I find that I can use it to make cauliflower rice really easily. So basically what you do is you put your piece of cauliflower in here and then just until the cauliflower is turned into tiny little rice granule type size things, and then just shallow fry it. I'll show you this recipe as well at some point because it's really, really awesome. But you can use a food processor instead. I just prefer, I'm going to cut myself. I just prefer this guy because it's just quick and you can do as much as you need, and you can see how much you've got there and whether you need to do more and that sort of thing. And it's a lot easier to clean as well. Baking tray is obviously still an essential because even though you're paleo, you will still be able to bake, and that's something that we're going to get into later. Also, a nice big metal cup for smoothies is an absolute essential. I use those every morning when I have my smoothies. Bowls, even though you're not having cereal or pasta anymore, you will still use these guys for things like soups and stews and curries, so they're still definitely an essential. I also like these little guys, and I think they're for custard normally, but I make all sorts of little paleo desserts in them, and some of them, like I make a really nice kind of chocolate cake, and they will set in the fridge in these, and so I still use them heaps. Obviously regular plates, I'm not even going to bother showing you guys, you know what a plate looks like, I'm hoping. A shallow one of these, so this one goes with my red, same set, but this is for if I'm just doing some veggies. I'll cut up the veggies and put them all in here and then just pour some oil on top and then put that under the grill, and I'll grill the veggies really, really quickly, and you kind of get that char grilled vegetable type thing, and that's really easy to do with one of these, which is a food dehydrator. Now this is great for drying food. So for instance, I have a vegetable garden. Whenever I pick any herbs, if I want fresh herbs, obviously I'll hang them up, but if I want dried herbs, I can just process them in this, they will dry, and then I can bottle them up and use them later. Also, this is really great for making roll-ups, like fruit leathers, I suppose you would call them. We call them roll-ups here. And it's also good for doing things like dried apples and even dried grapes if you want to make your own sultanas, that kind of thing. It's really handy for that sort of thing. Again, this is kind of a weird ingredient use thing, but it's handy if you've got one, and hopefully I'll be able to do some dehydrator recipes later on. But for now, I really want to focus on recipes that everyone can do and then get into the paleo freak recipes later on. The next thing I'm going to show you is a vintage slow cooker. This is it here. Look at that font. Isn't that luscious? I believe this was purchased sometime in the 1970s. My great auntie gave it to me as a gift. And it's really, really great for making stocks. So what I'll do is I'll pour whatever leftover meat bones I have that I've frozen in the freezer, I'll put them in there with some water and a bit of apple cider vinegar, some bay leaves and some onions, and you know, just boil, and carrots even, and just boil it up and let it go all day long, and it makes the most fantastic stocks. And it's really good to cook with stock, and I will do a proper tutorial on how to make different kinds of stock. And hey guys, so now that I've shifted around a little bit, we are near this bench over here. So one of the other most essential things that I have in my kitchen is my milk nut bag. And this is made of a kind of gauzy fabric. I have shown it already in a tutorial, my almond milk tutorial. It has a really kind of gauzy, I don't know, it's kind of like ethereal fabric and it's really easy to clean. So I've started using it instead of conventional cheesecloths and that sort of thing every time I'm making milk from nuts, and it's fantastic to it's so easy to just rinse it out, and it's like all of the gunk and everything that normally gets stuck between all the fibers just slithers out of it. It's kind of creepy. It's great to buy nuts that have still got their shells on, and you need a nutcracker in order to deal with that. A nice robust one with a good thick hinge there is the best thing to buy. I also have this garlic presser, which I use occasionally. I cook with a lot of garlic, and this does save a bit of time. Also, I have these. They're kind of daggy, but they're great for in the oven. They're made of silicone, and it takes a long time for the heat to go through them. Ted and Fred. There you go, I just named them. Don't throw away your cheese grater, even though you're not having cheese anymore, or maybe you're having a little bit of cheese. But don't throw away your cheese grater, because it's great for grating up things like carrots and other kind of tuberous roots for salads. I think that if you cut up a carrot and you cut it quite finely, it's still too bulky for a salad, whereas if you grate it, it just kind of gives you that carrot juice, bit of texture, not too much. Really nice. I like it. Also over here I have my hot water kettle, which I boil water in, obviously. I always fill it with cold water instead of hot. I've heard that if you fill it with hot water, then you kind of get a bit more of the heavy metals in it, and it's better to just fill with cool water and then boil it from there. I also have my blender, which you guys have seen before. It's nothing special, my blender. I don't think it's a particularly amazing blender, so I'm not going to be like, it's this brand, blah, because I think that basically if you're spending over $100, you're basically going to get something just as good as my blender. And it's okay, it's just a blender, whatever. I use it to make smoothies in. You've seen me use it to make smoothies in, easy. Now coming over to this side of the kitchen, I'm just going to move you right now because we're halfway there already. I have a few interesting things. I have my knife block, which keeps all of my knives nice and sharp. I also have a sharpening piece here, which you can use to keep the knife sharp, and it actually makes a really massive difference. All you have to do is go like that. And I don't even know what I'm doing half the time. Just keep it flat and rub it across like that. And that actually really will sharpen up your knives. And if you do it regularly enough, like before each usage, it makes a massive difference. Another thing you can do is just grab a second knife and use the second knife to sharpen the first one like that. But obviously not as effective. But moderately effective, like it's worth doing. I also have a mortar and pestle, a nice big heavy one. The heavier you can get, the better when it comes to mortar and pestle, because you really want to be able to get your back into it without moving this dish too much. And the heavier it is, the harder it is to move the dish. I also have this, which is fairly new, and it's a spice rack, and I've put all of my favourite herbs and spices in it, and I've actually relabeled a lot of them because they had really stupid labels of herbs and spices that I don't use, like chicken salt, and I've just gone ahead and changed them to herbs and spices that I do use. It's awesome, and I have it right next to me, like my stove is just here, so I have it right next to me, so it's on hand when I'm cooking. The other thing that's important to have on hand when you're cooking are these guys. Now, I have two piles, I guess, of cooking utensils. I have my wooden ones, and I use them the most. Things like spatulas. I have a lot of spatulas. And then really narrow ones for getting into corners and that sort of things. And wooden spoons, fantastic. But then I also have metal ones. And I want to try and change the metal ones over to wooden ones as time goes by, but I don't know how successful I'm going to be with that. That's basically everything inside my kitchen that I consider essential for paleo eating. Obviously, there's other no-brainers like fruit bowls and a stove and an oven and a fridge. And then there are things that I don't have that I guess some people would use, like a microwave, for instance. I don't own a microwave. I moved out from home several years ago and I never bought one, and I kind of never missed one. So I don't have one still. And if you're organised enough about defrosting your meat, I really don't think that you need a microwave at all, actually. So that's basically everything that's in my kitchen that I would consider important. And stick around because part 2 is coming up, and that'll be all about what's in my pantry, and then part 3, what's in my fridge. See you in the next video, guys. Bye.